Welcome to Purpose Conversations, where we dive deep into stories of empowered individuals who have transformed their passion and their purpose into impactful ventures. I'm your host, Dr. Mabel Baloyi, and tonight we are blessed to have an extraordinary woman with us. She is a powerhouse of faith, vision, and purpose. A woman on a mission to build other women from the inside out by God's design. Not only is she the host of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards and Gala dinner, but she is also a businesswoman and a minister of the gospel who travels from city to city, country to country, preaching the word and empowering people. Let's give a very warm welcome to Dr. Trena Stevenson. Dr. Trena, welcome to Purpose Conversations. Take a few minutes and tell our viewers about yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mabel. It's an honor to be with you once again. You pretty much did the intro exactly what I would pretty much say. I just love God. I love God, and I'm open to help in whatever way that I can. And I just flow where He says go. So getting into the business world, ministry first, then getting into the business side, it was truly, truly led of God, what to do and when to do it and when to execute it. So it's just an honor to serve the kingdom in that regard.
Amen. Dr. Trena, you're such a blessing. And I'm really honored to have you tonight on Purpose Conversations. And you have such a dynamic mission of building women from the inside out. It's very much important that we build not from outside in. A lot of people do it, the other way around. It's very much important to start inside, and then what is inside can then show outside. And I like the last part, that you are not just doing it from, helping women and building them from the inside out, but you say by God's design. Because we can do it by any other way or design, but here you are saying you do it by God's design. Can you share with us what inspired you to pursue this calling, and why is it so important to help women to grow from within?
Mm. Wow, that's a power pack question. I will say that I was the first recipient. I was the first recipient of that transformation. I kind of grew up, I'll give a little snippet. I kind of grew up in a pastor's household. And so by me growing up in a pastor's household, many times I was put under pressure, to be like my mom, who was a prophet, to be like my dad, who was the preacher, and I kind of grew up under that, where it was this just pressure beyond what you could even imagine. And so because of that, I kept trying to measure myself to them, and I've always felt like I failed because I'm nothing like them. I have characteristics of both, but I'm not them. And so I fell into depression. I fell into low self-esteem. I mean, it was rough, rough. But as I began to develop my own personal relationship with God, you don't build a relationship of God off of a parent, off of someone that you admire. You build a relationship with God based on what you desire and what your need is. And so when I came to that revelation that I needed Him, I then began to rely on Him. And then it was like, okay, obviously what I'm doing is not working. So show me. Show me the ugly parts of me. Show me the parts that need to be changed, the parts that need to be removed. Show me so I can be the way you view me to be. And that is the journey. That's where my journey started. And it started with taking off those layers of people's perceptions, taking off those layers that I allowed to be put upon myself, getting away from the measuring sticks of people. It went through, it was a period of time. It was a period of time. And the Lord just processed me. He got rid of all that stuff, all that junk, I call it. Low self-esteem was being derived by people's perceptions. He let me see that revelation, that you have low self-esteem because you put too much energy into what someone says of you, but I know you best. So I had to go through all those different transitions and all those processes, and you have to be transparent. He already knows. Hello, he already knows. So the transparency is saying, God, I know you know, but now I'm going to say it so you know I know. And that honesty and being transparent of the place that I was in and the different seasons of my life got me to the place where now I'm never going to say I've arrived, but I would say I'm very much far from where I began, and I'm definitely being fashioned by the Father. So by me being the recipient and going through the process, is position me to navigate others.
Powerful stuff, Dr. Trina. I was taken by your first response when you said, I am the recipient of that transformation. A lot of people are wanting to teach something they don't know, something they've not experienced, something they have not gone through it. Now you are saying, I'm teaching women to be empowered to transform from the inside out. But I am the embodiment of that transformation. I've gone through the process. I've gone through all the stages. I have faced certain challenges. I tried to measure up to my parents, and that really didn't work for me. Instead, it gave me, anxiety and stress. But I then decided to navigate and to look at me and be me and go through a process of removing what people say about me, because those are some of the, some of the challenges that erode when we are trying to walk in purpose. And which is my follow-up question. Actually, I wanted to ask you, Dr. Trina, that as women, we often face challenges that can sometimes erode our sense of identity and purpose. How do you guide women in overcoming all these challenges and help them to rediscover their true selves according to God's plan?
Wow. So I will say this. No, everything that we go through serves a
Yeah,
purpose. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what I began
right.
to realize with some of my toughest seasons is that I had to separate from it. So it's kind of like I'm in a season. I'll use this as an example. I was in a season of great drought, meaning I financially I was being getting hit left and right, losing resources, all of that, right? And so it to be honest and transparent, initially it just put me in a very dark place. I felt defeated.
Mhm.
I felt like I was abandoned by God. I was never abandoned, but that's the feelings that I got. But I stayed honest. That's why I keep saying you have to be transparent of where you are. I stayed raw with the
Yeah.
Father. Like, I feel horrible. I feel like you left me. I just talked to him like I'm talking to Dr. Mabel, just regular. I feel like you left me. I feel like you
Mm.
abandoned me. I was honest. I need to feel you. I need to know that you're here. I need to understand why I'm in this situation. So what I did was I invited him in the storm. I didn't push away from him in the storm. That's the difference. So, in that situation, what the Lord began to show me is He said, yes, you may not have right now, but that's not your identity. This is just the pass through moment. This is just an area that I have to process you even further for you to understand that I was your provider the entire time. And sometimes what we don't want to be honest with, which I became honest with, and I was like, whoa, okay, was we are used to having things and we're just, we know that check is coming. But when you get to a place where all resources are removed, it's an illuminator. It's an eye opener. If you allow it, though, if you allow it, it's an eye opener and it's illuminator and it's letting you see that he was doing it all along. And so he allowed me to lose everything so I could see that it wasn't based upon me working, but that I was working because he allowed it to happen. he brought the provision through multiplicity of ways. And so in this situation, he was literally it. I was in my wilderness situation, is what I call it. I ate when he dropped the manna. Okay. I was able to do what I needed to do when he brought the resources. And through that period, it was rough. I'm not going to tell you it was easy, but through that period, when it came to the time of being restored, because you're going to go through, but restoration is close by.
Right.
During the
Yes.
time when I got restored, I knew how to manage even better than I did prior. So when you find yourself in a storm, you're not the storm, but you're being made in the storm. So you have
Oh
to
my
keep
God.
yourself separate. I'm in it, but it doesn't define me.
Wow. When I'm in the storm, I'm not the storm, but I am being made by the storm. What a powerful statement, Dr. Trina. As I'm listening to you, in my mind, I'm like, is this the reason why I met Dr. Trina in the way that we met and the way that we connected? Because it's like you are sharing my story. It's like you are sharing my story exactly in your own words, of course,
Mhm.
but it is exactly the same. When you started talking about drought and losing things, that's me.
Mhm.
And we agreed for that the storm does not necessarily translate to us being the storm, but we are being made in the storm. What a powerful, powerful message, Dr. Trina. So you have been the host of this prestigious Presidential Lifetime Achievement Awards. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I was in the States so that I can also be a recipient. You have been doing this and I've been following it. It's looking so prestigious, you know, and it is such a significant platform and a very nice thing to watch. Can you tell us more about what this experience has been like and how it actually aligns with your mission of
Mhm.
empowering others?
Wow, that's so awesome. When I was asked to host this particular presidential gala that just took place last month, when I was asked to host it, one of the things that was said to me was, I know that there are individuals that you want to honor. That I would know certain individuals that would qualify for that type of
Yes,
award, that would need to be honored,
right.
and that's right in alignment with the vision of Woman of God Ministries. Um, it's
Hmm.
always been a place of building and pushing and exposing ones that would be overlooked and pulling
Right.
forth those
Yes.
God-given gifts. So this to me was just another avenue that the Lord opened up,
Hmm.
Father, opened up for me to be positioned to honor, though I call them the unsung heroes, honoring the ones
Wow.
that are overlooked. When you do what we do,
Hmm.
we're not doing it for recognition, but it's an amazing thing when God says you've been on the backside of the desert and you have been
Right.
tilling the ground and you've been building over time. And then all of a sudden, the Father Himself shines a light on
Yeah.
you and says, it's time for you
Mm.
to be honored and brought before great men. And so that's the only reason I agreed to be the host when I was asked. That's the only reason I agreed. But I did not know
Mm.
what God was about to do after that moment. So there is something coming in 2025
Mm.
that under hush for right now, but it's more to come when it comes to that.
Wow. Powerful, powerful stuff. So, what is one powerful story or moment from the awards that stands out to you as a testament to the power of purpose driven leadership?
I will say this through that experience, humility is what positions you, and humility is what will sustain you. And I'm saying that because when we are given opportunities, it's opportunities to serve others. We can't lose sight of that.
Yes.
So I will be honest. My experience that weekend was Trina. We're going to call my name now. Trina stayed
Mm.
humble, stayed humble. I didn't try to be the it girl. I didn't try to be
Right.
the one that gained the spotlight. I didn't flow that way.
Mm.
I flowed with the pushing part. I may be the host, but I'm not going to be the face. Are you hearing this? I was
Right.
just
Mm.
used to open that door. And so that's it. That's very critical because I'm gonna be honest with you. The Father is not playing. When you are given these platforms and when you are given these opportunities, it's not for you to build your own platform. It's not for you to
Mhm.
put yourself in this, high position. That's not what that's for. He's positioned you to be
Right.
a door in many ways. And so I would say my
Yes.
takeaway was when I could, you know, act act like, oh, it's all about me. I didn't go that way. I stayed humble. And that's very, very important. So that's the biggest thing because things can, it's a lot
Mm.
that goes on with those type of events. So you can only imagine. But your posture, you staying in a place of humility and a place of servitude is what my takeaway would be. And the other takeaway is just seeing those leaders be blown away and absorb
Mm.
all that love and all that honor. I will never forget that moment.
Mm. Wow. This is so amazing. Humility is key. That's
Mhm,
what God wants us to do. It comes with, being elevated because
mhm,
when we are not humble, then we go down. But
mhm,
when we are humble, then God lifts us up. Dr.
mhm.
Trina, when we come back, I want us to talk about women in leadership and business. Welcome, welcome back, Dr. Trina. Um, in addition to all the incredible things that you do, you are also a successful businesswoman. How have you balanced your entrepreneurial pursuits with your spiritual mission? It's not easy for people to balance the two. And of course, on the other hand, it's family as well. So you need to strike a
Right.
balance. So I just want to know, how does your faith play a role in your business endeavors?
Oh my gosh, it plays a huge role. Everything with me started in ministry. That was my starter. Me
Right,
branching into the entrepreneurial space was because of what happened within the
mm,
ministry. When
right,
I'll just use this as an example. I used to still do to this day. We have women gatherings and but bring women together and teach and all of that. And so time to time, I would just open up a conversation and I would say, hey, is there anything particular that you guys want to do? Because one of the things that the Father told me was that Woman of God Ministries was a hub and that whatever the woman came with, whatever the women came in with, the Lord said he would give me access to provide that. And so it's true to this day. So I'll just use this as an example of how I meant about how it birthed the entrepreneurial side, the business side. It came from the ministry. So in short, our first entry was a book was the first entry to this whole thing. And so we were talking, women were talking. These things kind of launched simultaneously. They was like, oh, we would love to have a magazine. We would love to have a newsletter. And so when those things came up, I heard what the Father said. He said, what they say, I'm going to give you access. And so Who would have thought it? I had wrote a book out of obedience to God, did not see myself as a publisher, wasn't on my bucket list, as we call
Mm.
it. I just wrote a book out of obedience called My Secret Place. And so when that came about, I ended up researching, doing my research and seeing, what it all entails. And then the Lord gave me Daughters of Distinction. That's the publishing ministry. The media side of the ministry is there as well. That's what launched the publishing house. So it came from a need. It came from a request that happened in a time of ministry. So everything with me that went to the business side and then going into the media world all stemmed from a gathering in my home with women, with the Bible open, sharing the word, praying together. And then we would have a potluck meal, which means everybody brings a dish. It was birthed out of that place. That's how it happened. So for
So
me,
beautiful.
when you talk about the balance, it's already balanced. Ministry birthed out that piece. So I have to keep the two aligned because it was birthed out of the ministry. And so it's not a juggling thing for me. I believe that when
Mm.
you really are in tune with the Father, He'll tell you what to pick up and when. And if I could push
Mm.
that hard, I want you to hear me. Just
Yeah.
because you have the ability to do it does not mean it's the timing for you to do it.
Right.
And that includes business also.
Right. I do understand perfectly. And the Father is the one who gives us the ability to actually do all of these things. That is why scripture says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And I do understand you perfectly because I remember when I started what I'm doing, and it's the message of purpose. And I quickly wanted to run into writing a book about purpose. And the Lord said, not now. Don't write a book about purpose, not now. And today I understand why He didn't want me to write a book about purpose, because if I had written it then, I wouldn't have, I was not going to write the things that I'm going to write now,
Mhm.
because now I've grown into that journey of purpose. I've spoken to people, I've helped people, I've coached people on purpose, and I've collected a whole lot of, content around purpose and people's challenges on how to find purpose, how to activate it, all of those things. So I do understand you perfectly that God can call you and give you assignments, but He can also say, this one, hold on, continue with this. But He
Mhm.
knows somewhere there, these two are going to meet, and it's going to be better when it is like that. Awesome stuff, Dr. Trina. So, what advice would you give to women who are looking to step into both leadership and business, but are unsure of how to align their spiritual calling with their professional goals?
Okay. So the first thing is you got to go back to the original mission. No matter what
Right.
the Father allows you to get into, there is an original mission. If you heard what I said
Yes.
a little while ago, I told you that when Women of God Ministries was established, that the Father told me it was going to be a hub. And He said it was going to be a
Right.
place that whatever the
Mhm.
woman had need of, the Lord said He would give me access to so I could help
Right.
the women, right?
Mhm.
So when
Yes.
you keep the original mission intact, I mean, you got to keep it right here. Those business pieces are literally a branch off from the initial
Mm.
assignment. So that's the key. So how to move forward in it is, okay, God, this is the original mission that you gave me.
Yeah.
This is what you said. You got to know the details. Now, how does that relate to this business venture that I believe and sense? Because you got to know first that you're called to it. this thing that's in me that I sense, how is that the extension of the original mission? So the first thing I would say is you got to be in prayer. You have to be in the face
Mm,
of God, and you have to eat
mm,
that mission that he gave you already daily. And I promise you, when you're constantly engaging him and you're constantly staying in tune with that mission that he gave you, it's going to click. You're going to know what to do, and you're going to know when. And so I'll say this. So say this, for example, as I told you with what I have, he said it was going to be a hub, right? What is the area of focus that the Father gave you for your ministry? What is the focus?
right.
What's that? What's the meat of that?
Yeah.
And I promise you, the meat is going to produce the extension.
Mm,
It's going to produce the extension.
powerful stuff.
So be in tune. So I'll give you a practical example. So let's say there's someone that has a ministry that's directed to someone that battles drugs. Let's just use that as an example, right? They battle.
Yeah.
And so within this ministry that God has given them, there might be classes that, they have to set up to help the individuals. Of course, you want to teach them about Christ and the principles of life and things like that. But guess what? From that mission, knowing the meat, we talk about the meat, the Father could tell you, I need you to open up a transitional home.
All
They
right.
need
Yes.
somewhere to go. They need
Mm-hmm.
your environment changed. Huh? Pulling them
Mm,
from something, but then where are they going? Are you following me? So
right. Yes.
from the meat, you got to help drug addicts. You got to set up something to be a catalyst for deliverance and change. But then here comes that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go beyond that. I want you to change the environment. And here goes your extension,
Wow.
opening up a
Wow.
transitional home. You get what I'm saying?
Wow. Yes, 100%. 100%. In business, we call that a niche. And, you can actually diversify. So you're basically talking about diversification. You are focusing on a particular message, but God knows all the other aspects of this message and how you're going to grow and impact,
Mhm.
people within your niche, and globally. Wow.
Mhm.
Dr. Trina, another thing about you that I have observed is that you travel from city to city, from country to country, you know, spreading the word of God across the globe. And how has this traveling and spreading the word of God across the globe shaped your ministry?
Wow. It has, it's so funny that you said that. In the beginning stages, the Lord spoke to me about Africa, and he spoke to me
Yes.
about India. And this is way ago. We're talking when my daughter was a little baby. And I
Wow.
didn't do I just pushed it to the back. You hear something and put it
Mm,
on the shelf. So when the
right.
Lord opened the door for me to go, he brought me back to, I already told you where I'm sending you. You didn't know the when, you didn't know the where, you didn't know the how, but I told you these are the two areas
Wow.
you're going to hit. So I see
Mm-hmm.
it as it was a part of the development of the beginning of the ministry. It's just now materialized. So me going into different countries, I'll use this as an example. When I take teams, the Lord gave me specific
Mm,
instructions. He said, I want you to formulate a team, And he said, formulate a team of ministers. They were not supposed to be locked into a particular denomination. They didn't have to be a part of my ministry. We didn't have to have a connection at all. But if they felt the call of God to go, and the Lord gave me the okay to let them go with me, he said they were to go. So when I went into the nations, he already told me I was never to go alone. He told me I will always have to bring a team. So I already knew that. That's the first thing. The second thing was we pay, meaning we pay to get ourselves there. We pay for our hotel, the ministries sow into us what they can, but the bulk of the expenses are, we carry that. And that's what he
Mm,
model he gave me. And so the Father has always provided for all of us. Anytime we go, a way is made, whether people are giving it through donations or he gives it to us personally in what we already do. So I knew getting to how it impacted or how the change of the ministry was. The Lord told me that my assignment was to change the perspective of those in those nations of how they perceive American preachers. American preachers, whether you want to accept it or not, I'm
mm,
a truth teller,
mm,
has a bad rap. Mhm. I've known that because of what's been shared with me. I've had leaders tell me verbatim of the different nations I've gone to of their
mm,
experiences with American preachers, and it wasn't the best. They talked about they felt their people was milked for money. There was astronomical demands. They weren't treated very respectfully, nicely. I'm not saying all. I'm just saying we don't have the best rap in a lot of ways.
right.
And so when God gave
Mhm,
me the assignment, he said I was to restore
mm,
and show a different view
mm.
of American preachers. That's what he told me. So when we go, that's a lot of times that's exactly what has
Wow.
happened. I took a risk bringing you and your team in because I didn't have the best experience last time. But then we came and it was like it changed our whole demeanor. It changed their whole the way we were received. It was just, I mean, I could tell you story upon story, unbelievable. They were shocked.
Mm,
You know, we didn't have the cockiness, we didn't have the arrogance, we didn't have the demand, 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 wait on me hand and foot. We didn't
yeah,
come that way. We're
yeah.
showing the love of
Mm,
Christ in a form of humility. And then we're showing unity.
mm.
We're coming from different aspects. We're not all from the same house, but we represent Christ. And Christ is what unifies and makes you one. And so that's my assignment. I don't know about nobody else, but that was the main assignment, was to restore what has been torn up by those before me.
Wow. And because I've experienced that, I experienced that through your visit. Really, I must tell you that even today, the church has not forgotten about your team that came over here. You definitely showed the love of Christ, which is unforgettable. You know, it was almost as if we are all South Africans. It didn't even feel like others
Mhm,
are from another country.
mhm,
It was
mhm,
so beautiful. And,
mhm.
I believe that God will continue to strengthen you and, continue to give you all the resources that you need to, actually spread this message. So
Yeah.
as you continue on this incredible journey, what's next for you, Dr. Trena? What is your vision for the future of your mission, and how do you hope to leave a lasting legacy?
Wow. I will say that the phase that I'm in now is to build those that are coming behind me, to really make sure that I'm passing the mantle while I'm still here.
Yes, yes,
Um, Building others. What I want to encourage us as leaders is don't don't feel like you can't share. You know what I mean? Don't take this position of it's
yes.
all me, it's always going to be me. It's not going to always be you, right? Our job
Definitely.
is to always pour. And so my future, what I'm doing now and what I project in the future is to do just that. Continue to pour, continue to build, continue to pull you from your inside to your out, continue to sharpen those gifts, those abilities that God has given you, and to sharpen it and to help you grow in that thing. Because to me, I see it as a huge field of vegetables. God has
Mm.
given me the ability to seed into others that are now going to produce their own gardens as well, right? So it's just to do that, rather it's in states where I am,
Right.
rather it's abroad. That is my home mindset,
Mm.
is to help people establish their assignment, their kingdom assignment in the earth, to make sure that it's in full accuracy, to make sure that you're in full humility, to make sure that you are hearing the Father and you're executing it exactly, not you touching it, but executing it exactly the way the Father has told you. That's my mission, that's my goal, that's my assignment. And the other leg of it is to pour and to highlight leaders that are mostly have been overlooked, that has been in the vineyard for a while.
Yeah.
That's a new venture ahead
Wonderful.
for me, to
Mm.
honor different ones. And so I'm excited about that. I'm big on honor, and to be positioned to do that is priceless. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And of course, I'm very balanced. So I'm still going to go on those vacations. I'm still going to have my leisure. And I want to say this, and I went there because a lot of times we get so busy in ministry, we get so busy with the businesses, we get so busy with our family life, that we don't
Yeah.
give ourselves time to just breathe and to be refreshed.
Yes.
We sit down,
Mm.
be quiet, do nothing. I'm telling you, if you master that, and making sure that you get still enough and get quiet enough and just breathe for a minute, there's so much that the Father will download when you've been refreshed. There's so
Right.
much clarity that comes when you've been refreshed. So while we're balancing ministry,
Mm.
while we're balancing business, while we're balancing family, don't forget your leisure. Quality time
Yes. Very
on
important.
being refreshed.
Very, very important. Thank you, Dr. Trina, for reminding us that it's very much key, because we
Mhm,
want to fulfill purpose. And if we're not going to take care of our bodies,
mhm,
we're not going to be able to fulfill it. When we are in the grave, we can't do it.
mhm,
you know, this conversation, Dr. Trina, has been nothing short of inspiring. Your heart of empowering women, your faith, and your leadership is a beacon of light for so many people across the globe. We thank you for sharing your journey, your wisdom, and your passion with us today. And I know that if we had enough time, you would, continue and share with us and empower us. And to all our listeners, I want to encourage them to reflect on the powerful lessons that you have shared with us today, and remember that they, they must never be too far from walking in their God's given purpose, in their God given purpose. And with faith and determination, they can rise to build the life that God has designed for them with your help, Dr. Trina. And I
mhm.
don't know if people want to learn more about Dr. Trina Stevenson, where can they find her? Where should
Definitely.
they go?
Go to www.wofgod.org. So everything you want to know, if you want to reach out to me, you can definitely reach me there. I'm also on Facebook, as my name
Right.
is tagged here, Dr. Trina Stevenson. I'm on Facebook as well. So you can reach me there, Instagram, pretty much all the handles. You can find me. I would love to serve you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Trina. We thank God for your life and for the impact that you're making in the lives of people. God bless you. We will keep you in our prayers so that the Lord may continue to use you in his service.
Thank you
Amen.
so
Thank you
much
so
for
much, my
having me.
doctor. That was Dr. Trena Stevenson, a woman who is empowering you from the inside out. Be